to the More Defined podcast. I'm your host, James Chapman Jr., and today we have Taylor Turnage, who I will let introduce herself and share a little bit more about who she is and what she does.
Hello, everybody. Like James said, I'm Taylor Turnage, originally from Jackson, Mississippi. Graduate of Tougaloo College, the illustrious Tougaloo College. And yeah, so we were just talking about before we started recording. I do a lot, and so I currently work for Mississippi Votes, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. We do a lot of voter registration, voter education work throughout the state of Mississippi. With Mississippi Votes, I'm the Central Mississippi Regional Coordinator, so I coordinate a lot of community events, school events for us to get out and get the youth and young people and the community engaged and registered to vote, and understanding of the voting process in Mississippi. Um, Outside of my day job, I am a graduate student right now at Prescott College in Arizona. I do an online program. I'm working towards my master's in social justice and community organizing. Um, Luckily, I will be finished with that program in August. So I am nearing the end of that. Also, I am a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And also, this is the last one, I promise. I am a business owner. I own Sweet Teas Vintage and Thrift, where we sell a lot of vintage and thrifted clothing. So you can check me out with that. I actually have some of my merchandise on right now. But
I
yes,
love the shameless
in a
plug.
nutshell, that is what I do. It's not who I am. Hopefully,
Mhm.
you all can get more of a sense of who I am personality wise throughout the rest of this interview.
All right. So, I'd like to start off. This is a safe space, and I want to do it with a check in. Also, this is, even though it's an interview, it's a conversation as well. So,
Yeah.
anything that you want me to answer question wise, or you just want to know something about me, I can definitely talk about it, answer it as well. But starting off with a check in, how's everything going? Kind of 1 to 10. Share as little as you want. Share as much as you want.
Yeah. Ah, life right now, I'll say, is a smooth like 5. It's like
Mm,
right in the middle. It's not
okay.
good, but it's not bad, you know. Um, and it's not like that all the time. We understand we
Hmm.
go through ups and downs in life.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm just going through a lot of ups and a lot of downs, so it balances each other out. Um, like I said, I'm nearing the end of graduate school, so it's very stressful. I'm writing a paper, well, a proposal right now, and then I have to go into my capstone project, which is, we'll figure it out. I got a couple weeks to figure it out, but yeah, a smooth 5 right now. Smooth 5. Things are looking up for my business, so that levels out the stress of school. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm all about the balancing game. Nothing is ever too bad, nothing is ever too good.
I definitely understand that. For me, I would say everything's like an A right now. Um, the only thing may or may not like a negative, but there's a lot of goals and things that I want to accomplish before the year is over, and so I'm just slowly kind of building towards that. So that's why I say nothing's like a 9 or 10 at the moment. But like you said, there's nothing that can be too bad or too good to where you just don't have a good balance anyway. So,
Yeah.
all right, this is something that I ask all of my guests. At what moment did you know, or did someone tell you that you had the gift for your current profession?
Ooh. Ah. Hmm. Okay, so I'll answer when someone told me first, and then I'll answer for when I knew myself. Because I actually had to do this for an assignment for a class that I had
Hmm.
last semester. and this was one of the questions. I actually had to interview other leaders, and I had to come up with interview questions, and this is a question that I asked them. And so being on the other side of that now is like, whoa. Um, First time someone told me, I'd have to say it was kindergarten.
Mm,
My kindergarten teacher, not basically like she didn't just say, "Oh, you're going to be working with like politics and voter education," but when I was in kindergarten, my grandparents, well, before I was in kindergarten, my grandparents taught me how to read early. So I was reading by like the age of 2, 2.5. And so when I got to kindergarten, I was reading on a fifth grade level. So during reading time for class, my teacher, my kindergarten teacher, who I'm still connected with to this day, I love her to death. She would send me to the fifth grade classes for like their reading hour or whatever. So I remember very vividly, she told my mother one day during a parent teacher conference, she was like, make sure you keep her on the right track because
mm,
she's going to be somebody one day. And like that just stuck with me even through like the hard times in life. I went through a really rough patch in undergrad. Like her voice just kept playing, in my head, talking about she's gonna be somebody one day. And although I did not feel like I was anybody during those times, that one day is still gonna come. So I know like
mm-hmm.
one day somebody believes that I'm gonna be somebody.
Yeah,
And so yeah, that I still think about that to this day. That okay, I'm gonna be somebody, because for somebody to see something like that and you so young,
mm,
it's like you don't even understand the concept of she's gonna be somebody one day. Like you
yeah,
like, I'm already a person, like I'm already somebody, but I get it now that I'm older. Um and I'm working towards being somebody. I'm someone in people's lives, but I want to be like somebody, like
yeah,
that person where, okay, I know that if I need this thing, this is the person. Like, I don't want to call anybody else. This is the person that I can call that is going to make sure that everything is good, all of that. Um, does that make sense?
it definitely does.
Yeah. And so when I realized and when I had that moment, um, was in 2020,
Mm,
um, during the summer of 2020, when all of the, George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and
mm-hmm.
all of that was going on. Me and a few other college students in the state of Mississippi got together and planned a protest out here in downtown Jackson in front of the governor's mansion. And when we started, I don't think any of us expected it to turn out how it did and expected
Mm,
the results that came from that. And I've always been one to advocate for those who cannot advocate for themselves. Ever since I was young, my mom says it all the time. And I've been advocating for people even before I knew what advocating was. And so with that, we got together, we did the protest. We were expecting maybe 100 to 200 people. Ended up being over 5,000 people showed up.
mm,
It ended up making history as the largest political protest in the state of Mississippi since Freedom Summer. And just seeing, I remember before it even started, and I had no clue how many people were there at this time. I just looked like I stood on stage and I looked in the crowd and I had to like walk off to myself and shed a couple tears because it's like when you like growing up in Mississippi, we know how beautiful the state is and
for
we
sure.
know what Mississippi produces. Like whether that is crops, whether that's
Hmm.
music, the people, the hospitality, we know what the heart of Mississippi is. And both and um at the same time, we also know what the media makes Mississippi out to be.
Oh yeah.
And I have been discriminated against. I have been talked about and drugged through the mud just because I am from Mississippi. And we have our problems. We do. And we all know, what some of those problems are. And we are out here trying to work on that and we are trying to fix it
Yeah.
day by day. Um, you can't turn centuries of. And can I cuss on here? I'm a cusser, so I just wanted to ask.
It's fine.
All right. Can't turn centuries of bullshit
Yeah.
around in 6 months. Can't turn it around in a year. Probably won't turn it around in 5 years. May
No.
not turn it around in 10. It might take just as long as it took to mess it up. It might just take that long to fix it. But you have to continue to work to make progress. And so, yeah, the protest, I went on a tangent, but the protest and seeing how all of these different backgrounds of people in the state of Mississippi, where people say we can't come together, we don't
Hmm.
have knowledge, we're uneducated, we don't know what's going on in the rest of the country, everything else, to see all of that come together and actually make a difference, because they'll never say it publicly, but we've been told behind closed doors that protest was like us getting the state flag changed was a direct response
Hmm.
to the outpour of support for that protest. Now, they won't say that publicly,
Oh yeah.
but I'm okay with knowing it at heart. But just knowing that we were able to come together and like
Mm.
make a change, some people may think that that is a small change to change a flag. Not in Mississippi, not to take the Confederate symbol off of the flag. So, um, that's when I realized it. That was a long answer for a short question, but yeah.
No, that's what I want. That's the purpose of that type of question, honestly, just to get the full encapsulation of how people get to their particular part of their journey. Little side note: did that protest ever lead to any actual movement in terms of taking down any um, blanking for a
Confederate
second?
statues.
Yes, that's what it was. Yeah.
Um, it did not. That was one of our demands. Was to remove all Confederate symbols from the state of Mississippi, one step at a time with the
Yeah.
flag. We and the work is not done. I get asked all the time, are we still doing things that we requested during that time? We are. We're working on it, and a lot of actually the organization that I work for, Mississippi Votes, helped us with the protest. And so um a lot of those ideas that we had during the protest, we brought them here, and we can
Mm.
actually like actually do what we need to do to get these laws and everything passed to
Yeah.
remove these Confederate symbols, because we took a we took our fellows on a trip to Washington D.C. last year, and
Mm.
we went to the Capitol. And in the Capitol, each state has two statues um, inside the Capitol. Well, for Mississippi, we have two Confederate
Mm.
soldiers as our statues. We're trying to work now to get that done, and it's not just work that we've just started. This has It's been lawmakers and legislators working before us to try to get these removed. There's a process. But what we do is we bring the youth aspect into it. We get the youth involved of saying like, hey y'all, this is what's at the United States Capitol representing our home state. The blackest state
Hmm.
in in America is being represented by two Confederate soldiers. That's not representative of who we are as a state, demographics wise or history wise.
Yeah.
Maybe yes, partly history wise, but we know that there's multiple sides to history. So if we're going to just show one side, that's not cool with us. You need to expand and explore other options.
Hmm. So, as you stated earlier, you did attend the illustrious Tougaloo College. Um, how did you decide to attend Tougaloo?
Oh, let me think back. Um So I was introduced to Tougaloo at a young age. My mom, she is a graduate of Jackson State. So I had already known about HBCUs and everything. Um, but I'm one of the most extroverted introverts that you will possibly meet. Um, when I am in a crowd in public, I'm out there, I'm talking to everybody. But when it turns off, it turns off, and it's time for me to go sit by myself in silence. And so I'm not one to want to constantly be like in a space with a lot of people. And so I knew I wanted to go to HBCU, and I knew I wanted to go to a small HBCU. And so I was introduced to Tougaloo at an early age because my god sister went there. She graduated back in 2004. And so I had heard about it. I heard about, you know, Tougaloo produces 40% of black lawyers and black doctors in the state of Mississippi. And at the time, I wanted to be an anesthesiologist. That's what I got my bachelor's in. I got a bachelor's of science in biology. I was going pre med, but like halfway through, realized that it's not what I want to do. But I'm not a quitter, so I was like, okay, we got to finish this degree because we started it. But then I started looking into the history of Tougaloo and how they were involved in the civil rights movement and,
Hmm.
all of that. And it was right up my alley. Thinking back, I probably should have just went into like political science and all of that, like going in, but I'm stubborn. I had my mind made up. I wanted to be an anesthesiologist.
Yeah.
And look at me now. But uh so yeah, really like the history and the rapport that it had in the community, and just seeing my god sister and hearing the stories that she had. And also it fit me, like I said, because it was small and it was a HBCU
Hmm.
and it was close to home. So yeah, 30 minutes down the street.
Yeah, I know Tougaloo kind of well. I know a few graduates from back in the day who attend my church and everything, and they definitely introduced me to Tougaloo. And then I did a couple of things on Tougaloo's campus growing
Okay.
up a little bit. So it was introduced to me. I just didn't have any interest, real interest in attending
Yeah.
Tougaloo.
Where did you attend?
Mississippi State.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. State is
Honestly,
cool.
I was introduced to the whole HBCU thing. Family went to Jackson State. Church members, they went to all over the state, a few other HBCUs around the country, but it was just something that wasn't on my mind with me trying to be an engineer once I
Yeah,
decided that's what I wanted to be. And so once I figured out what major specifically, I was like, none of the states in the college, none of the HBCUs in the college have my major or could technically help me get to my major unless I go to like grad school or somewhere else or whatnot. So I was like, I'd rather go somewhere else where I can get my bachelor's in my major.
yeah,
And so that's what led me to Mississippi State.
yeah. I know a lot of people that went to Mississippi State. It's a cool school, especially for
Mhm.
engineering. So you made a good choice.
Yeah. So, like you've mentioned before too, if you're getting your master's degree and you'll be finished in August, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Uh, did you always have the desire to get your master's degree? And why was Prescott College the place to get it?
Okay. All right. So, I mentioned before I had a tough time in undergrad.
Mm-hmm.
Most people deem coming of age years as like those preteen, early teen years. Well, this baby right here was a late bloomer. My coming of age and like figuring out, trying to figure out things came in college. And so it was a very stressful time just with that. And then you add on like studies and all of that. So coming from high school, I was you know, I believe I was like top 10% of my class, like straight A's, maybe had like one or two B's throughout my entire high school. And then you come into college and it's like where you're used to being at the top. Now, like everybody there was at the top. So it's like you fighting for that top spot. And didn't really have to study in high school, so I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have like good study skills and all of that. Like all of it played a factor into all of this. And so I will never forget my first semester in college, and I say this story all the time and people tell me not to say it. It's part of my story. I do not care how bad it sounds. It is part of my story. My first semester in college, I had two D's, three F's, and an A, and the A was from an elective course. And so, um, like I said, coming from straight A's to that, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
So like I went into like a depression. It was bad, and so that next semester, I buckled down. I lived in my advisor's office to this day. I thank Dr. Walker. Um, she actually just texted me like a few weeks ago to check in on me. But I lived in her office of like, okay, I need to be in here because it is quiet in here. There's no distractions, like nothing. I just need to sit here and I need to study. And she would stay there with me sometimes till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, just
Oh
sitting
wow.
there. Like, and so just having that support helped, but I still was like, I was still struggling.
Mm.
And so you add in like life factors and personal factors and all of that, it was a lot. So like I said, I fell into a depression. Then my second year, I ended up getting sick with like this illness out of nowhere. Doctors couldn't figure out what it was. So I'm in and out of the hospital. So that took a toll on my grades again because I'm never at school and things of that nature. And so it just seemed like every year something was
Mm.
going on to where things just were not clicking. And so towards those final years, found out I wasn't graduating on time, kind of knew that already. And then that year that I was supposed to graduate a year late, found out I wasn't graduating again because of a mistake. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be the year that I get out of here. And when I get out of here, I am done with school. I see it is not for me. I'm done with it. So I graduated and I was like, okay, what's next? Like, and so then I fell into that post grad depression because it's like I don't even want to
Yeah.
do anything with this biology degree. What am I going to do now? So, I got a job at a restaurant that's right off of Tougaloo's campus. I worked there for a couple of months, and then that's when I received like information about a job opening here at Mississippi Volks. And all of this is going to tie back into the question, I promise.
Mhm.
And so I got the job here. I started working, and I'm like, okay, I have been fighting this and fighting this and fighting this. I knew I wanted to do advocacy and civil rights work. I've known it
Mm.
for a long time. But like I said, I am stubborn and I wanted to try to continue to finish my biology degree. So I had to sit down and I had to have a conversation with myself. And I was like, all right, we're going to give it a year and we're going to try to go back to school for a master's. Did not know what I was going back to school to do. Like, did not know what program area I wanted to go back, but I knew I wanted to go back for a master's that was not in the sciences. And so, um, it was nearing time for me to try to narrow down what I wanted to do. And um, my dad ended up passing in February
Mm.
of 2022. And so that was kind of like a okay, all right, we can't fall back down. Didn't have a good relationship with him for real, but at the end of the day, like that's my dad, and just
Yeah.
knowing that he wasn't like there anymore, it took a toll. And exactly 2 months after that, my grandma passed, and so I was like, okay, now this one is hitting harder. Like, hold on, it's a lot coming. I'm trying to stay on track and I'm trying to reach the goal, but like it's a lot coming at me. And so um I was like, no, I got too much going on right now to do school. I'm gonna push it off another year. But as time kept going, and after, we got my grandma's funeral and everything done, I just kept hearing her say in my head, like, you do the best you can with what you got. Always do the best you can with what you got. And I'm like, okay, all right. And she was real big on my education, real big on my
Mm.
education. And so I was like, I'm gonna give it a go. Like, I don't feel like I'm at the place where I should right now, but something is telling me to just go ahead and give it a go. Did not know where I was going. Once again, did not know what I was going to do. I was like, but we're about to get on Google and we're about to start just, I'm like, okay, I know I want to do something with social justice. So I Googled graduate degrees for social justice. Didn't find too much because, like,
Mm.
yeah, I just didn't find a lot. So I'm like, okay, graduate degrees on like leadership and like community organizing. Added social justice in there. So I went to this list of like, this is a really long answer. You're gonna have to chop this up, but I'm a storyteller. So I went to this list and of like the top 10 schools for like social justice and
Mhm.
community work, and it was like Vanderbilt and Duke and all these top name schools. I'm like, don't have the capacity for top schools like that right now.
Mhm.
But on that list, like, we still talking about the top 10 list. On that list, I think they were maybe like sixth on the list. um was this school that I had never heard of, Prescott College in Prescott, Arizona. So I clicked it and I'm like, okay, the school was founded not long ago. It was founded in if I remember correctly, I think it was like 1964. It's a liberal
Mm.
arts college. They were founded on, the basis of like civil rights and things of that nature. And so I'm like, I'm gonna apply, give it a go. It was past the application date, but I still was going to apply because you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. And so I
Mhm.
applied. And I got a call from the admissions counselor, and she was like, "It's past the application date, but I saw your application and I liked it, so I'm gonna get you in contact with the dean of your program." So I had a call with the dean, and she was like, "I really like you, and I think you would be great for our program." She said, "I'm going to waive your application fee,
Oh
and
man.
we're going to redline your application to the top. Don't worry about the fact that it was late, um, because I think you're going to be really great for this program." And that's how I ended up at Prescott College. Short story long.
Man, that's a lot of twists and turns, but
Yeah.
definitely I know
I'm a
definitely something that's
talker,
like,
so I
oh no,
apologize.
you're good. I'm a talker too. Like some of my friends, they joke with me that I don't talk sometimes, but when I do talk, it's like a
Yes.
continuous thing. And so, but man, like, oh, uh, I know when August comes, I know you'll feel like this journey has been way worth it, even though it had a lot of ups and downs as you detailed them. Could you just talk a little bit though about kind of navigating those moments when your dad passed and when your grandmother passed, and still kind of knowing that you wanted to still go to grad school because you didn't have an interest basically in that biology degree.
Uh oh, how did I navigate it? Sometimes we don't really know how we got to where we are.
Mm,
Um, and frankly, that's one of those periods where I can't tell you. Um, I know my support system helped me through it. Um, my therapist helped me through it, and none other than God. I can't chuck it up to I truly don't know how I navigated it. Um yeah, that was 2022 was a hard year. Everybody's like, "Oh, 2020 you 20 I mean not 20 wait, 2020 was the hard
mm-hmm.
year?" No. 2022 was my hard year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cause like I ended up once again getting sick. I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes secondary to another condition that I have. And so having to navigate that and like do lifestyle changes and all of this on top of already being depressed and on top of all of the like the grief and everything. And then I started school that year as well. So it was a lot. And so um I think I was just moving through the motions, and
Mm-hmm.
think I've been moving through the motions the last 2 years. And I say that because haven't really until recently, like maybe a month or two ago, I actually like sat down in therapy and like dealt with everything that happened that year. But yeah, I navigated it by just going through the motions and not really feeling anything, which is not healthy, but sometimes that's what we do and that's what we have to do to keep going. But as long as you eventually acknowledge it before it acknowledges you, that's what counts.
That's a word. Mm. Shout out to your support system though, and whoever your therapist is too, and everything. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've been through similar moments, just kind of like going through the motions or whatever. But having a support system, making sure I'm praying about it or trying to figure it out somehow, because I know God's making it happen. But
Yep.
like you said, as long as I get to that point and realize, hey, like there's a other side to this journey. There's a other side to this hill that I'm climbing.
Yeah.
It'll work itself
If
out.
I open my eyes and get out of bed every day,
Hmm.
I'm gonna try to make the best of the day.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when specifically did um did that advocacy social justice journey start for you?
I'll say. physically in 2015 at
Mm-hmm.
Tougaloo College, I joined the NAACP, or
Mm,
as people like to say, well, not like to say, it's the name of the organization, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Um, we sometimes don't like the acronym, but
yeah.
I joined that organization, and from there I kind of like grew in ranks statewide, and I did some work nationally as well. So that kind of got me into it, like actually doing the work on I'm learning things and I'm becoming a better leader.
Mm-hmm.
um I'll say mentally I got into doing advocacy work with Mike Brown. And I really want to say Trayvon Martin. I
Mm,
cannot remember how old I was at the time, but I just know George Zimmerman is a name that I will never forget. So I say mentally during those, that era, but I didn't really like boots to the ground work
mm-hmm.
until 2015.
That's interesting. Interesting start mentally. That's because that's around the initial initial Black Lives Matter movement. It's kind of like that first iteration of it back then.
Hmm.
It's like you stated before, work Mississippi votes. And you kind of gave a little bit of this question though, but could you give a little bit more of like a backdrop, basically, of who Mississippi votes is, and what they do?
Yes. So, here in Mississippi Votes, like I said, we're a 501c3 nonprofit, and we do civic engagement work throughout the state of Mississippi. That includes get out the vote, voter
Mm,
registration, voter education, um, political workshops. We do a lot of um, suffrage work, rights restoration, election protection. The list goes on. We do a lot of
yeah.
work throughout the state of Mississippi. And all of that is towards the goal of creating a more inclusive and like transformative state of Mississippi, because we are not who we used to be. We do not,
Mm,
the state does not look like the state used to look like. The
mm,
state does not operate how the state used to operate. And so we know this, but our laws and our elected officials do not represent that change that has been made over the decades and centuries. So, yeah, that is a quick snapshot of the work that we do here.
mhm. How interesting has it been since you said you are the what is it, the central region? Um, I don't want to get
Coordinator.
your title wrong.
Yeah. Central Mississippi Regional Coordinator.
Regional coordinator. Yeah. How interesting has it been to work with some of the colleges and even some of the high schools in this area?
So, actually, I have worked with the high schools and colleges throughout the whole state. So, when I
Mm,
started at Mississippi Votes, I had a totally different title and position. I think this is my third position, well, title slash position change since I've been here. I started out as the youth civic engagement coordinator for colleges and universities, and so with that I worked exclusively with the colleges and universities throughout the whole
yeah.
state. So each campus is different.
Mm,
um the climate of each campus is different. The way that the campuses operate is different. Some campuses have voting precincts on their campus, some don't,
yeah. Yeah.
and things of that nature. So you really have to go out and be on these campuses and have communications. I mean, not communications. Well, yeah, but conversations with students
Yeah.
and administration and professors on the campuses to really understand how you need to organize on each campus. And so my experience working with the colleges, I actually loved it, honestly, because college students, their engagement level and their desire to be involved is unmatched.
Mm.
um they understand that they understand more than a lot of older people think they do. And I'm saying they, but I'm still young too. So like
It's in
us
the right.
young
Yeah,
people,
you're
we
saying it right.
understand a lot more than they give us credit for. And we
Hmm.
speak on a lot more than they give us credit for. Um the only difference is they don't know that we understand and speak on it because they do not invite us into the rooms where it
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
give we're given the opportunities to show that we know and understand what is going on. We are always called when it is time to meet a quota for young people. We're
Hmm.
always called when photos are needed to show that, we're working with young people. But no, call us in the room when you're having meetings about, the policies that are going to be made. Call us in the room when you're talking about, okay, who are we gonna indoors, who are we going to go for when it's time for the election, who are we voting for, things of that nature. Like, call us in the room when those conversations are happening. Don't call us in the room when you need input on, well, how do we get the young people out? The young people are already out. They're
Already.
just not in the same spaces that you are, and so it's kind of like there's a gap that we're trying to bridge together. Did I answer the question?
No, you do. You definitely do.
Okay. All right.
Oh, no, I feel that. Like that's. I don't know specifically when I started to recognize it and like feel that way, but that's one of my like life goals. At least here in Mississippi, like I want to get to the point. Well, on a bigger macro scale, I really would tear down the whole system and start over. But if I was to use the system how it is now, one of my life goals is to be able to have it to where if we have elected officials, that's fine, but we have actual community representatives and different demographic representatives to actually illustrate. Okay, we have our youth here, we have this specific ethnicity here, this specific ethnicity here, or whatnot. And we have different business leaders who work in different industries who actually have real experiences that can have a bigger roundtable discussion so we can have those policies, those changes that we need to actually represent the entire body of the state, not just a small segment of folks where it doesn't even affect them at all. So,
Mm-hmm. And
but
so
that's
with just to answer the other part of your question, because I realized I didn't answer the whole thing with the high school work. Um So my next position after that position is I got moved to youth program director. So I was directing the entire youth program. So that included colleges and universities and high schools as well. So our high school work is very unique as well.
mhm,
Um because it's like you're dealing with the students who aren't yet quite old enough to be registered to vote, but they still have an impact in their community.
yeah,
And so
mhm,
you have football games, basketball games, band events, things of that nature to where they can go out and get those people registered to vote because they're actually in those communities and know these, stakeholders in the communities and know these people. Whereas when you're dealing with colleges, a lot of the time you're dealing with a lot of students who are from out of state. And so they don't really have as much stake, or they don't think they have as much stake. They actually have just as much stake as a person that is from here. But it's sometimes harder to get them to understand what we're up against because they're not
Yeah.
from here. And in their mind, I'm only here for 4 years to get my degree and then I'm going back. Um, but with high schoolers, there's more at stake because say you're dealing with a ninth grader, they're only what 14, 15 years old. They
Hmm.
still have at least 4 to 5 years in the state of Mississippi and maybe more after that if they go to school in the state. So it's just building up that leadership from that younger age and creating an ecosystem to where if they do go to school in the state of Mississippi, then that they can go from our high school program over to our college program, and then after that we have fellowships, for postgraduate and things of that nature, and it's just continuing the cycle of building leaders throughout the state.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, glad you actually got back to that question. But uh, what does it mean to be a part of the Deltas?
Ooh, that is a great question, and I have never been asked in that manner.
Mm. Well, firstly, when did you pledge?
I was initiated into the Gamma Psi chapter at on the campus of Tougaloo College in fall 2019.
Okay,
So
okay.
it'll be 5 years in November this year.
Uh,
Um, but can you repeat
Early
the
happy
question?
Delta
I really
anniversary.
thank you, thank you. Can you repeat the question so I answer it correctly? What does it mean to
What does
me?
it mean to be a part of it?
All right. I'm going to answer this in the best way possible without it being too long. For me personally, because you'll probably get a different answer from everyone. Me personally, it means the cliche answer is being a part of something bigger than yourself. But
Hmm.
for me, I'm a very literal person. And so when I think of the history of the organization, and I think of the letters of the organization and what they mean. Delta means the change, Sigma means the summation, and Theta means the angle. So, in order to change your outcome, which is the summation of everything, in order to change the outcome, you have to do what? Sometimes you have to look at things from a different angle. And so that is my literal definition of what being in this organization means to me is like since I've joined this organization, I look at everything from a different angle. Be the change you want to see. Okay, cool.
Mm.
I'm gonna not like sometimes you can't change the physical things that you have. So what you
Yeah.
have to do is like my grandmother always said, always do the best you can with what you got. So sometimes you just have to change the angle in which you're looking at the problem to change that outcome. And so like I said, cliche answer, being a part of something bigger than yourself and being able to make a bigger impact and bigger change in your community and this world with a group of like minded individuals is great. But for me personally, just looking at the organization and the change that we not only have done and created in the past, but what we
Mm.
continue to do today and will continue to do in the future, looking at it from that angle of like in order to change the outcome of anything, not just social action, not just politics, not like anything, you have to change the angle in which you look at it, and you can see things from a totally different viewpoint and a totally different perspective.
It's a great answer. Part of that sounds a little bit like an engineer in terms of how you critically think about things, but it's a great answer. So, were you born and raised in Mississippi?
Yes. I was born in Jackson,
Mhm.
and my mom ended up moving us out to Byram. Hmm. I don't remember when it was, but it was like probably second or third grade. Yeah. So
Okay, okay.
some people say I'm from Jackson. Some people say I'm from Byram. I just claim Mississippi. I claim Jackson.
Yeah.
I claim Byram. At the end of the day, I'm from Mississippi.
Yeah. Oh man.
But born and raised, I did spend a year and a half during fourth grade in Michigan, but that's because my mom ended up having some health complications, and
Mm.
she's from Michigan, and so we had to move up there with my grandma, so she could help take care of her. But other than that, born and raised.
Mississippian. All right. Also, you mentioned this earlier. Uh, Tell me a little bit about your vision to start Sweet Teas Vintage and Thrift, and where do you see it growing?
Oh, great question. I feel like I'm on Family Feud. Great answer. But great question. So, and I'm saying all of this because a lot of the questions that you're asking are conversations that have come up within this past week. And
Oh wow.
so the timing and alignment is perfect. But with Sweet Teas Vintage and Thrift, um, it came out of the blue. Um, So back when my grandmother passed, maybe like a few weeks after she passed, um, I found this app, and I will be transparent and say that when I am grieving, I am a grief shopper. I
Mm.
just go buy stuff that I do not need. I just buy it just because it's there to buy. So I found this app called Whatnot, and this is not promotion whatsoever. They're not paying me. But Whatnot is where people go on there and they do live shows of like selling stuff. And
Mhm.
so at the time, it was a brand new app, so everything on there was like cheap. So you could buy
Mhm.
vintage clothing for like $1, $2. So I'm buying stuff, and then I got a light bulb in my head. I'm like, if I can go buy this for like $1 to $2, I can get it and then flip it for like $10 or $15, and then like make money off of it. And I understand that is a capitalistic viewpoint and like way to see things. I truly understand that. And I am not an advocate for capitalism,
Mm.
but baby girl got to get it how she can get it.
Mhm.
And so, like, you're taking clothes that would have been $40, $50, and like, I'm only giving it to you for 10, 15, $20. So you still, we all got to eat. So, I started, like, I was buying for myself at first, but then I started buying to like see if I could resell it. So
Mm.
I get stuff and then I go to my friends and be like, hey, you like this? I got it for sale, this, and this. So they started buying it. And so then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just do this for like a little side hustle. So yeah, I started buying more stuff, and I'm like, I excuse me, I really can, like, if I get serious, I can make a business out of this. And because I started doing research on like the clothes, I started doing research on other people who do it, and like there's like people have actual businesses, actual
Mm.
storefronts, selling this. And so I'm like, okay, it's not as bad what I'm doing as I thought it was. Like, you know, um, it's just it's a I don't know what word I'm looking for, but it's just like it's a niche. I'm gonna use niche for lack of a better word right now. It's been a long day, um, and so I started racking up on inventory, and I'm a Virgo, so All my ducks
Ah,
have to be in a
I love
row.
Virgos.
Yo, you're a Virgo?
Hmm.
What's your birthday?
September 13th.
Mine is the 18th.
Oh
Ah,
wow.
yes, I knew I liked you. But so uh where was I? Oh, okay, yes. So I like everything to be in a like my ducks in a row and for it to be as perfect as it can be before
Hmm.
I put it out to the masses. So I was like, okay, 2022, the rest of it, I know I'm starting school, but I want to do this as well. So the rest of this, I'm going to use it to stock up on inventory, get my LLC, create my website, do everything that I need to do to lead up to launch. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to launch on January 1st, 2023. And that is exactly what I did. And from there it was up. And so for me, if you go on my website, I'll send you the website on Instagram and everything. But um on my about us page, which I'm actually about to update it because I came to a new revelation in therapy the other day about like why I started the business. But on my about us page is I just talk about like how I was never really into fashion and clothes and things of that nature because like back in the day, which like a couple years ago, very low self-confidence, low self-esteem. And so I just used to wear baggy clothes and just something just cuz you got to wear clothes to come out the house. But as I started to gain confidence and everything, I started getting more into fashion and you know like basically clothes, and it was a way to express my emotions and express what I was feeling at the time. And so the joy that I got from, because I'm not always good at verbally expressing how I feel about things, and sometimes so I could do that with my clothes. And
Hmm.
so I was like, dang, if it makes me feel like this, I would like, other people to have that same feeling. And so I'm gonna, try to provide other people with those same opportunities for, to be able to express themselves through their clothing. Because fashion is a form of art.
Oh
And
yeah.
if you think you look good, it does not matter if anybody else thinks you look good. As long as you're confident in what you're rocking, it could be the most tackiest thing on the earth. But if you think you look good and it make you feel good, it don't matter what nobody else got to say about it. And so that was the initial reason. The other day in therapy, came to the revelation that we were talking about like going through life and going through the motions and like taking hits from life and being broken down, being built back up, but at the end of the day, the product that comes from the wear and tear of life is beautiful, like more beautiful and stronger than the product that was there from the jump, because it
Mm.
shows your perseverance and everything. And so as my therapist was talking, I was like, that's the clothes that I sell. And I'm like, I love having shirts that have holes and stains and stuff on them because, and I know to some people that is outrageous. Like, why would you buy something that's damaged? Because it shows that although you are not perfect and although you have flaws, you still have value and you're still worth, like, have worth to somebody. I like
Hmm.
clothes that are damaged. It adds character and it adds uniqueness to that piece. You get what I'm saying? Like, if I get this shirt and I slit a hole across the middle, there's no other shirt that's like that anymore. Or
Yep.
if I waste some Kool-Aid on the front, there's no other shirt that's like that out there. And like I said, it goes back to my reason for being in the organization. change the angle that you look at things. Everything, I try to not be like the positive Nancy, but I feel like everything that we deem to be bad, if you look at it from another angle and another perspective, it can have value and it can still have meaning. Um,
Hmm.
and so, like my clothes, I have a lot of clothes that I sell. Like I said, they're stained, they're ripped up, they have holes, they have, burn marks, everything. But that's what makes them unique. And that's what makes people want them and gravitate towards them. And then I have pieces that have absolutely no flaws on them. If that's your niche as well, cool. Everybody has their preference. There we go. I knew it was a P word. Everybody has their preference on what they like, and we have like a variety of things to offer. Once again, long answer, but hey, got to get it out there.
Do you have a specific, not like an end goal, but like certain path where you see it growing?
Yes. I've only told my close circle and my therapist. Um but ah hold on. Let me see, cause I believe in you don't tell the left hand what the right hand doing, but
I
um
understand.
I'll put it out there an exclusive. Eventually, I want to own my own store. Um and so what I'm doing now is I'm working on like a 5-year plan of where I want to be with my business. Um and so things are looking on the upside of being able to get a store. So hopefully within the next year or two, I will be able to have a store here in Jackson. And eventually open up stores in the surrounding areas and hopefully, expand outside of the state. Because right now I just have a website um that I sell from. I sell from Instagram, and to my close circle of friends,
Hmm.
they can come to, my place and do personalized shopping there. But yeah, eventually I want to have a actual physical store.
I got you. I got you. I got a little exclusive here.
Yes. Oh,
What are some of your?
actually, oh, and I forgot this. It will not be my own physical store, but
Hmm.
I actually just got a partnership with a new art gallery that's opening up here in Jackson, to where I'll have my products housed in the gift shop of the art gallery. So it'll be in Vibe Studio, which
Yeah.
opens up towards the end of this month, early August. So if you want to check it out, towards the end of, not the end of this month, the end of July, early August, go check out my products at Vibe Studio. And if you like what you see, there's way more that is in store for that.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I was thinking about asking about it, but I'm glad you mentioned
Yeah.
it.
You do your
uh,
research. I like that.
I try. Part of me, part of me when I was growing up wanted to be. I still kind of feel this way. I wanted to be a sports analyst or whatnot, but I basically wanted to get into journalism at the
Hmm.
core of it. And so I feel like me doing this podcast and this iteration of it is kind of like my journalism bug in a sense.
Hmm.
And so I take it pretty serious to try to
Yeah.
know as much as I can about the guests from the people who actually don't like know. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay. You're
All
doing a
right,
great
so
job. I saw videos from your other interviews. You're doing a
mhm,
great job. I actually thought you
thank you.
went to school for journalism. And so to know
Uh,
that you went for engineering and you're doing this right here, I like
hey, I definitely appreciate it. That's the that's the goal in a sense. Try to not like trick people, but like, hey, like
that.
I can do this too.
Yeah. We are multifaceted people.
Hey, yeah. So what are some of your favorite things about Jackson, Mississippi?
Okay. Top three: the people, the food, the music.
uh,
Real quick.
would that
Go ahead.
would that kind of be like your favorite things about Mississippi in general, or specifically towards Jackson?
That's specific towards Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
um Mississippi in general, the people stay, resilience,
Mm.
and food stays. So the only thing that would change is music would change to
Yeah.
resilience. Because despite the issues we have, um, despite how bad the rest of the country is against us sometimes, we still going strong. And every
Yeah.
state has their issues, no matter how bad they try to make ours seem. We are not the worst.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us to still be here, and the people in the state to still be thriving and making it and surviving, I think that goes to show the resilience of the state and like the people within the state, because we're doing good. It might not look like it from the outside, but we're doing good.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Right, we're hitting the home stretch here. These are kind of the fun questions, kind of make your mind work a little bit.
Oh, whoa.
Just,
Okay, let's go.
just a few of them. Uh, First one: if you could travel back to a certain decade or year, what would it be and why?
At the age I am now,
Um, it could be just like, well, yeah, I guess you could take like yourself now and travel
okay,
back. Yeah, yeah.
okay, it would be the '90s.
Hmm.
Yes. I don't know. I'm a '90s baby. I was born in '96, and so like I kind of got a little bit of the '90s, but like I kind of didn't.
Yeah.
And I know they had their issues back in the '90s, the early 2000s, or whatever, but they just looked like they were having a blast, and they could have a blast without social media.
Oh yeah.
Like you could just have a blast and be just be and have fun and not have to worry about um you know hold on, this is gonna sound bad. Wait, let me answer this. I'm gonna preface it with, I'm not trying to be out there doing nothing crazy. Let me just start there. But um like they could just do stuff without having the extra um stress or thought of, oh well, if I'm just out having fun with friends or being myself, it's going to get recorded and I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to get exposed, or you get what I'm saying. So it's like right now it's just a lot of eyes on you with everything that you do, whereas back then you could do stuff and be okay, and like you and your friends just out goofing around having a good time. And it may affect you, may have consequences, it may not, because who knows. That's
Yeah.
probably not a good answer, but that's my answer,
No,
and I'm gonna stick
that's a
with
great
it.
answer. the '90s is my number one choice. So
Yeah.
it's for similar reasons. So, if you could give your younger self some advice, what would it be?
All right. Um Always bet on yourself.
Mm,
Um and give yourself grace for the things that you do not know. And that is something that I'm working through now, is giving my younger self grace for not doing the things that she did not know at the time that
mm,
have caused things to possibly be harder, at this phase of life. And so it would just be, always bet on yourself, always love yourself first before you love anybody else, and show yourself grace in moments of not knowing.
yeah,
Because one day you will
I like
know.
it.
We're not meant to know everything.
Hmm.
Yeah. How you
Okay,
have a
next
fun
one.
question and then you follow up with a deep question like that?
That's the purpose. Like, gotta make you think you're going somewhere good, and then try to draw you back in. Uh, this one I had to make sure I word it right because everybody kind of gets it a little differently. If you owned a library, what kind of library would it be? A music library, a regular book library, or a movie/TV show library?
Music, hands down. I'm a music head. Um, I cannot go a day without listening to music,
Amen.
or it won't work.
Yeah.
I I played. I was on the drum line in from middle school to high school. Played bass drum, snare drum, cymbals, all the
Okay.
percussion equipment. Um, Went to Tougaloo. They don't have a band, football team, all
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
So I tried my hand at jazz band. I love jazz music, but it is not for me to play. Um, I took lessons for the drum set eventually. And currently right now I am self teaching the saxophone. And so music has continued to show up in every era of my life. I
Mm,
don't think it will stop. I am gaining more access to friends and acquaintances who are deeply involved in music. I've met so many people who are now friends and like family to me, who are rappers, singers, and everything within the Jackson area and throughout the state of Mississippi. Um, and yeah, it just keeps popping up. Like it never leaves, but like it keeps popping up physically in
yeah.
different forms in my life.
Mm,
I even have, now I'm not a producer, I'm not a writer, I cannot sing, I'm tone deaf. um I freestyle a little bit from time to time, but it's not good. It's just for fun. But I have friends who will send me like their unreleased music and ask me for my opinion on the song and
mm.
things of that nature. And so just music is, yeah. I I don't have words for it. It's gotten me through a lot. Yeah.
I completely understand.
Yeah, music is the friend when you feel like you don't have like when you feel
Oh
like you
yeah.
don't have friends to fall on.
Right. Just two more. If you did not attend Tougaloo, then what would have been your number one HBCU choice for undergrad?
Hmm. Probably Jackson State.
Mm,
Um And it's not because that's like my number one choice. It would have been my number one choice because of certain circumstances.
Mm,
Because it's just me and my mom, and what like my grandparent, well, my grandma was still alive, but she lived in
mm-hmm.
Michigan, and my mom, she's been like having health issues since I was 10. And so like I wouldn't have felt comfortable like going out of state and like just leaving her here, which is part of the reason why I chose Tougaloo, because it was right at home to where if she needed me, I was able to go back and forth. So the answer would have been Jackson State just for those purposes, but all time HBCU, either Spelman or Howard. Yeah.
I feel like in another life, I probably could have been a Howard attendee and really could have
Yeah.
did my thing there. But
Yeah. It
all
was
right, it's
meant for
the
me to
last.
stay at home though.
Same for me. Like I've said it plenty of times in other podcasts. Actually, that's exactly what the Lord had designed, and it worked itself out exactly how it was
Hmm.
supposed to.
I wouldn't change it for the world. Through all the ups and the many, many downs, I would do it all again. I just do it differently next time.
All right, this is the last one. What is one gift that you have that a lot of people don't know about?
A gift that I have that a lot of people don't know about. I feel like I'm really an open book, but
Hmm,
I'll say if you ask my best friends, they would say, I'm going to assume that they would say the care that I have for others.
hmm,
And I say that because I often don't show it, right? Um in ways that people would probably show that they
hmm,
care about people. Um but my best friend, she knows I care for people. Uh so that's what I feel like they would say. This question is for me to answer, so I can't say what they would say. That's a cop out. Um, my energy and my spirit, I think.
okay.
Um, which yeah, this is a hard question. I see why you saved it for the end. I say that because we live in a time, I feel like, where people can show one thing
Mm,
and that's not who they really are. But
mm,
with me, like I said, I'm an open book. You like what you see is what you get. And I've been told a lot recently that um I give off this energy and this aura and this spirit that is very welcoming and inviting,
mm,
and like that's genuinely authentically me. I don't want anything from people in return. Um I'm not looking for you to be anyone but yourself. I please excuse the noise in the background. Um I don't know why they chose today to be all loud, but yeah, like I think it would have to be my energy and my spirit.
Hmm.
Ah, I I really did not like that question. Not
I mean,
like
we can
not
take it.
liked it.
We can take it.
It I I felt working through this, but I felt like when you have to answer something like that, it makes you feel
Hmm.
cocky. Like,
I mean, that's part of it. Like, that's
yeah,
the other thing with this podcast. Like, I want to give people their flowers, especially if I
yeah,
know you're actually doing major things, impactful things. And so, whenever you have a little moment to share a little about yourself, because it's something I struggle with, and so
yeah.
I want to make other people do it too, and it
Uh,
kind of helps me feel a little bit better.
yeah. So, okay. Let me get comfortable in the moment. I'm gonna answer it again, and I'm gonna be confident this time in answering the question. All right. So, my gift that I think people don't truly know or understand is my spirit and like my energy and my aura. Um, I like I said, what you see is what you get. And
Hmm.
at the beginning of this interview, I said hopefully y'all will be able to see my personality by the end of this interview. I hope I did that. Every answer that I gave was genuine. It was from the heart. Um and what I can bring to people, not like, and I'm not speaking materialistic wise. I'm speaking like, spiritual wise, and just like what I can bring to someone's life. I think that's unmatched. And like I said, I've been told by a lot of people lately, like I have this light and this energy that is just very inviting and welcoming, and it draws people in. And I think that's a gift. Like everyone doesn't have that.
Hmm.
And something I'm working on is becoming aware of that gift that I have, cuz I don't know I have it, cuz I just think I'm being myself. But apparently we live in a world where a lot of people aren't being themselves, and so it's I guess it's rare to find people who are genuinely being themselves. And so that is my gift to the world.
Take it. We can take it. Definitely take it.
All right.
Well,
That
Taylor,
was take
I
2
want
for that question.
to.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for giving me some of your time today, being able to share some of your story and some of your experiences. I definitely appreciate it. And like I said, it's about being able to share truly like some of the things that people are doing, especially here in Mississippi, but also like giving them their flowers too. So I'm glad the last question had you a little bit stumped because that's the point.
Yes, I appreciate you for having me. Not gonna lie, when you reached out to me, I was like, is this a spam person? Like, huh? But then I went to your page and I saw that you had done other interviews and everything, and I was like, oh no, this is real. And then I was like, oh wait, somebody wants to interview me? Like, huh? Like, where did
like I said before, I definitely appreciate your time and everything.
Yes, thank you
But
so much. And if you ever need anything from me, you've got my Instagram, and I'll give you my phone number in the chat.
okay,
Yeah, but use me as a resource. And I might be reaching back out to you for some stuff as well.
oh for sure. All right, guys, this is more defined, and I will see y'all next time.